Hi, I'm Steve Nathans Kelly, editor of Streaming Media Magazine, and I'm here today with Michelle Munson, co-founder and CEO of Eluvio, and we're going to talk a bit about what's new at Eluvio and particularly some new developments there since IBC. So why don't we just get started with just a little bit of background for people who might not be as familiar with Eluvio or what's been happening there. How would you describe Eluvio's role in the premium video content industry?
Well, hi, Steve. It's great to be with you today. I'm Michelle Munson, co-founder of Eluvio, and I think to sort of set the stage, most people listening to this would agree that the whole industry is changing right now. Video over the internet is explosive in terms of quantity, and at the same time, the entire media and entertainment industry is having to rethink itself, both in terms of getting more efficient and also in terms of embracing data, personalization, and getting to more direct engagement. And Eluvio's fabric is really a next generation technology for changing and enabling video over the internet at scale. The number one thing it does is provide for content distribution, but content distribution that includes the just-in-time composition, transcoding, and playout of what we think of as live and on-demand streaming. It also provides for the direct serving of static metadata. And then finally, it acts as an end-to-end platform that lets you monetize your media because the data that's part of the content itself allows for the rights enforcement through the authorization model to be in place. What this really does, Steve, is just open up a whole new set of possibilities for media companies, cutting the cost, reducing the complexity, and then also opening up direct distribution possibilities that weren't there before. As far as ourselves go, at IBC, this was just a huge time for us, not just a huge show, but also a huge coming out point. We had the general release of our Casablanca version of the fabric, which has many advanced audio and video features, and now a new native AI stack built in that I'll talk about. And we also had several key strategic partnership announcements, and then our overall growth in Europe, which I'm sure we'll talk about today.
Well, great, and I know one of the key new features in Casablanca was its AI capabilities, and
Absolutely.
of course, any booth you went to at IBC, everyone, there was buzz about AI. Everyone was talking about AI features. But what would you say makes the AI features in the content fabric kind of stand out in the marketplace?
Yeah, absolutely. So first, let's just talk about the foundations of the fabric. One of the big different ideas of the fabric is instead of using files, which are really opaque representations of media, the fabric represents media in the decentralized software protocol around the network as a composable object. And the object consists not just of the media, but also of data. So that structure of the content object is natively data driven and natively a carrier and a holder for AI data. The second thing that's also very different in the foundations of the fabric is when you go to present a rendering, an offering, streaming output, download output, clipping output, you name it, to a client or to a viewer, the fabric is generating that in the software protocol on demand. And that generation takes in the data and takes in the media that's part of the decentralized representation and produces the output. That is a groundbreakingly different architecture than the file-based workflows that people have been using through the media supply chains, which, if you think about it, are really just bytes on disk in the same structures, even though there may be a lot of commonality across different versions of those files, none of that's represented. And also, so much of the file-based workflows involves this kind of brute force creating this version output, this localized variant, this particular streaming packaging, and then copying that file from this company's location to this company's location. And underneath that, all the costs that go along with the egress to do that, the restoring to do that, and then also constantly transcoding stuff that you don't necessarily use up front, and then paying for multi-CDNs to kind of push that out. The reason I'm saying all this is because the fact that we can do a native AI generative output in the fabric is a result of the architecture, not because of layering on AI, right? And then from that, one of the most important things, and I think one of the great new trends, is to take this dynamic representation, dynamic streaming the Fabric provides, and combine that with AI data to make it really personalized. And we are doing that in spades. One of the new products that we introduced at IBC as part of the Casablanca release is a new AI-based clip search. And in that, content gets tagged with time code, accurate tags that come from our AI models and third-party metadata. It gets indexed, and then that index is searchable through our search service to yield back both clips as well as full length. And of course, the clips are not file copies that have to be generated, transcoded as proxies, and sent out. Instead, they're virtual URLs that are dynamically generated from the long form. And in sports workflows, this is a huge difference because live becomes VOD, becomes clips without making any file copies. No incremental additional cost.
And whether you're working with sports highlights, with dailies, rushes, or amounts of stored video, I mean, it's the searching for clips can be just an incredibly onerous process.
Yeah, well, and I think what's most important is to think not just about the single application of searching for clips, which is something that is very important. Overall architecture of being able to, in place, index your content, have that indexed data, which can be generated from AI and be highly accurate, such as we do with our universal tagger service, and then have that data be able to live with the content and then finally power both retrieval as well as composition. And that's the game changer in the Fabric architecture, which is really just starting to see the future. One of the examples of this would be making personalized playlists, highlight packages, or channels as the result of a search, and not having to put together multiple pieces or parts to do that sort of thing. And also being able to infinitely recombine the same content objects, parts, into all of these different variants without, again, paying for egress or file copies or retranscoding or any of that.
And one of the things you mentioned, just talking about IBC, was also partnerships.
Absolutely.
And so I understand you have a new partnership with Bedrock Streaming. Can you just tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So at IBC, we were able to announce some really serious momentum in our business, which is super exciting. And we focused on Europe. Our one of our most strategic new customers and also partners, obviously, is Bedrock Streaming. They are a leader throughout Europe. They have 6 or 7 major broadcast customers for which they are the streaming provider, full stack. I believe there are around 45 million subscribing users that use Bedrock streaming platforms across their customers in Europe. And they announced a strategic partnership with us to utilize the Content Fabric for next generation streaming capabilities. What do those mean? Well, for one, being able to push the envelope of efficiency, reducing the cost substantially, at the same time providing very low latency live streaming and on-demand streaming. Secondly, being able to exploit this data-driven kind of capability in the linear channels so that they can not only do traditional things, but push the envelope for personalization. And then finally, because the Fabric provides the full stack of encryption and authorization, it allows for simplifying things like DRM and also end-to-end encryption of the streams, as well as being able to provide advanced features that premium sports needs, like forensic watermarking in line with live. Those are the foundation tenets of our working together. Bedrock is very advanced in their business, and it's really a great marriage because we are a emergent startup company with a really breakthrough technology. Bedrock has a great placement in the market, and we've really enjoyed working together with them. And I think you should look for what will come from us together over this next year.
Another thing, I know Eluvio was recently part of an IBC accelerator project related to content authenticity, provenance, and verification. And I know that with all the concerns with piracy today, that content security is a big part of the Content Fabric. Can you just talk a little bit more about your approach to that?
Absolutely. But before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about the accelerator because it was a very special experience. You know, the accelerators are always good at bringing forth next generation and groundbreaking problems. But this one was very special because there was extreme interest from many different content rights holder communities, particularly news, in being able to really get back to authenticity in media, to be able to protect the consumer from deep fakes, and also to be able to respond at scale to what's going on in social media with the proliferation of fake news. And because of this, like really powerful and how should I say, industry concerning sort of a scope to this issue, there was a very large amount of participation from the sponsors as well as from the technology companies providing solutions. The role of the content fabric then in authenticity of media is truly an end-to-end basic principle in the way the fabric protocol works. The number one point of publishing in the fabric is that cryptographically it's owner controlled. That means the publisher, when they're publishing in a version of the content, that content and its constituent parts is encrypted for that owner. And then all the changes that are made to it, those are versioned, meaning that those changes are recorded in a tamper-proof way. And also those version changes are effectively approved by that owner. So if you're a consumer looking at the downstream end of this, you have the authenticity of the media and its provenance, if you will, through its life cycle. And then finally, technologically, the fabric makes it super easy, and we provide a built-in verification proof for the output from the fabric, like a live stream, for example, or an on-demand stream to self-verify, like you would an SSL certificate verification. And for this accelerator, we provided the end-to-end provenance and the dynamic verification of the streaming playout for the news content. This was both showing the authentic case for what you would call, premium media published by a verified news source, in this case, PBS and some of the other participants, in contrast with the potentially fake or non-provenance proving media. The end goal, Steve, for this out of the group is to, first of all, make it possible for the consumer to be able to easily suss out what's authentic from what's fake. And then secondly, to have a strong sense of what can be done as an ecosystem to be able to have, a way to scale up this kind of provenance and authenticity as media changes through the life cycle.
So, really, just one other question is, where can people learn more about Eluvio?
Oh, absolutely. Visit us on our website at eluv.io, and there you can find all the product information under the technology section. You can also see some of the projects that utilize our media wallet as a full stack OTT streaming solution and as a way to monetize media. And then finally, we like to work very intimately with our customers on their projects. And so if you're interested in making something on the fabric and trying it out, feel free to contact us directly through our website or directly to sales@eluv.io, and we would love to work with you.
Well, this has been great, Michelle. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Steve.